I sit cross-legged on the hardwood floor of my parents' Portland living room, surrounded by torn wrapping paper and the artificial pine scent of Christmas morning. My sister Chelsea twirls her manicured fingers around a set of shiny BMW keys, the metal catching the twinkling lights from the tree as she pirouettes like a teenager instead of a 32-year-old woman. "I can't believe it," she squeals, bouncing on her toes. "My own Beamer." Dad beams at her with unfiltered pride, Mom clasping her hands beneath her chin like she's witnessing a miracle. The car sits in the driveway, a glossy white testament to parental devotion, complete with an enormous red bow that probably cost more than what they spent on my entire Christmas. Meanwhile, I stare at the object in my lap, a plastic piggy bank, shaped like a cartoon character from a children's show I outgrew 25 years ago. The price tag they forgot to remove reads $1.99. "Open it," Mom urges, gesturing toward the small rubber stopper on the bottom. My fingers feel numb as I comply. 2 crisp $1 bills flutter out. "It's the start of your future home fund, honey," Dad announces with a dismissive wave. "You're always so responsible with money, not like some people." He winks at Chelsea, who pretends to look offended. The silence stretches like taffy between us until Mom fills it. Chelsea needs reliable transportation for her new graphic design clients. Those artsy types expect a certain image, you know. Chelsea drops onto the couch beside me, her expensive perfume clouding my senses. "Don't worry, sis. I'll drive you around whenever you need." She pats my knee with patronizing gentleness. "Your little Toyota must be on its last legs by now. The Toyota that carried me through 7 hours of mountain passes yesterday. The Toyota I paid off myself 3 years ago. The Toyota that's more reliable than any relationship in this room. I can't breathe." 34 years of moments just like this one crystallize in my mind with perfect clarity. This isn't an anomaly, it's the pattern of my entire life. Just this morning, I had carefully wrapped their gifts, a leather briefcase for Dad, that cost 2 weeks' salary, the silver bracelet Mom had admired in a Seattle boutique window, the professional camera lens Chelsea had casually mentioned wanting, all purchased by setting aside a little from each paycheck for months. I'd rehearsed my announcement during the entire drive down from Seattle. Senior structural engineer. The promotion I'd earned through nights and weekends of extra work, designing buildings that would stand for generations. I'd imagined their faces lighting up with pride, finally seeing me as something more than Chelsea's responsible older sister. Maybe this Christmas will finally be different, I'd whispered to myself at each rest stop, at each gas station, at each mile marker. My hands tremble as I place the piggy bank on the coffee table. The plastic makes a hollow sound against the glass. "Excuse me," I manage, my voice sounding like it belongs to someone else. "Bathroom." I don't run up the familiar stairs, past the wall of family photos where Chelsea's face dominates every frame. The bathroom door closes behind me with a soft click before I twist the lock. My reflection stares back at me, eyes too dry, face too composed. I press my palms against the cold marble counter, waiting for tears that won't come. The pressure builds in my chest instead, like concrete hardening around my lungs. People talk about heartbreak like it's abstract. It's not. I feel each chamber of my heart contracting painfully, blood struggling to push through narrowing vessels. My sternum aches like someone has pressed a knee against it. This is what dying feels like, I think. Not dramatic, just diminishing. The night stretches endlessly as I lie awake in my childhood bedroom, listening to Chelsea's laughter from downstairs as she and my parents plan her first road trip in the new car. At 2:17 a.m., I finally sit up. I pack quickly, taking only what matters: the faded, stuffed bear my grandmother gave me, the photo album from college, the small wooden box containing my first professional blueprint. The expensive gifts I've given them over the years stay where they are. They were never about gratitude anyway. The house is silent as I carry my suitcase down the stairs. My house key lies cold in my palm for a moment, before I place it on the kitchen counter beside the coffee maker that will brew in 3 hours. They have made their choice. Now I'm making mine. Streetlights blur into watery halos as I navigate empty highways. The dashboard clock reads 3:42 a.m., Christmas morning. My windshield wipers battle against thickening snow while Bing Crosby croons about white Christmases from the radio. I twist the volume knob until his voice fades to silence. "Have yourself a merry little Christmas," I whisper to the empty passenger seat, my voice breaking on "merry." The irony burns like acid. Through Portland's southern outskirts, my Toyota's heater struggles against the December chill. 7 years old with 200,000 miles, this car carried me through college, first jobs, promotions. It never complained about mountain passes or tight parking spots. Unlike the gleaming BMW sitting in my parents' driveway with its ridiculous red bow, my car earned its place in my life. Around 6, my phone buzzes against the center console. I glance down to see Mom's face lighting up the screen. Not, "Are you safe?" Or, "Please come home." Just, "Did you remember to pay the electric bill for the cabin before you left Seattle?" The cabin they bought for weekend getaways that Chelsea uses for Instagram photo shoots. A semi-truck passes, spraying slush across my windshield. For 3 terrifying seconds, I drive blind until the wipers clear enough space to see. My hands shake against the steering wheel as memories flood faster than the wipers can clear them away. 5th birthday. Chelsea's princess party with professional decorations, pony rides, and a 3-tier castle cake, 30 neighborhood kids in party hats. My celebration the following year: grocery store sheet cake, 2 friends from kindergarten, party supplies from the dollar bin. Your sister needs the social stimulation. Dad explained when I asked why. You're more independent. Independent. Their code for, you don't need us. High school graduation. Valedictorian. My carefully crafted speech about persistence and dreams. Empty seats in the family section because Chelsea's junior varsity soccer team had an away game. We'll watch the recording, Mom promised. The VHS tape sat unwrapped on my dresser until I left for college. Your sister needs the encouragement, Mom said. You always succeed without our help. Without help. Their code for, you're on your own. College years flash before me as highway signs count down miles to the California border. Working 25 hours weekly at the campus bookstore and cafeteria. Taking maximum course loads to graduate early. Stretching student loans and scholarships while Chelsea explored artistic inspiration across Europe on our parents' dime. Your sister needs to find herself. Dad insisted during one of our rare phone calls. You've always known exactly who you are. Known who I am. Their code for, you don't deserve exploration. My phone buzzes again. Dad this time. I let it ring until voicemail catches it. The first hint of dawn lightens the eastern horizon as tears blur oncoming headlights into golden streaks. I pull onto the shoulder, hazards blinking, and press my forehead against the steering wheel. The patterns crystallize with sudden clarity. Dad controlling the money, withholding from me while bankrolling Chelsea's every whim. Mom manipulating emotions, making me feel selfish for wanting even scraps of attention. The perfect system. One parent handling financial favoritism, the other maintaining emotional control. My phone rings again. Not family this time. Monica Perez, my college roommate turned lifelong friend. Where are you? Her voice, warm and worried, fills the car through Bluetooth. Somewhere in southern Oregon. My voice sounds hollow, unrecognizable. Heading south. To where? I don't know. The line goes quiet for a moment. Then, come to San Francisco. Stay with me. Family doesn't treat family like this. Monica knows. She witnessed the evidence firsthand during college. The packages that arrived for me containing practical necessities while Chelsea received designer clothes. The holiday breaks when I stayed in dorms because flying home was too expensive the same years my parents took Chelsea to Aspen and Maui. I can't impose. Stop. Monica's voice turns firm. You've spent your whole life being the helper. Let someone help you for once. The words crack something open inside me. Help. Such a simple concept, yet foreign to my experience. In my family, help flows one direction toward Chelsea, toward my parents, never toward me. Okay. I whisper, surprising myself. Text me your location every hour. Drive safe. I'm making up the guest room. The call ends. I ease back onto the highway, wipers clearing fresh snow. For the first time since leaving Portland, my shoulders lower slightly from their defensive hunch. By 7:30 a.m., I cross the California state line. The Welcome to California sign gleams in early sunlight. My phone screen shows 17 missed calls, 32 text messages. With deliberate motions, I turn off notifications from Mom, Dad, and Chelsea. The silence feels weightier than any accusation. My stomach growls, reminding me I haven't eaten since yesterday's Christmas Eve dinner. A small roadside diner appears ahead, its neon open sign a beacon in the morning light. I pull into the nearly empty parking lot. Inside, the warmth envelops me like an embrace, coffee-scented air, and the sizzle of breakfast on a distant grill. An older waitress with silver-streaked hair approaches with a coffee pot. "Rough night?" she asks, filling a mug without waiting for my answer. Her name tag reads, Gloria. "Rough life," I mutter, then feel immediately embarrassed by the melodrama. Gloria doesn't flinch. "Honey, I've been serving coffee for 40 years. I know heartbreak when I see it. Family or boyfriend?" "Family." She nods, sliding a menu toward me. "Blood makes you related. Love and respect make you family." Her weathered hand rests briefly on mine. "The special's good today. Comes with extra bacon." I order the special and wrap my hands around the coffee mug. Gloria's words echo as I watch snowflakes dissolve against the window glass. Blood makes you related. Love and respect make you family. For 34 years, I've been related to the Collins family. Perhaps it's time to find out what being part of a real family feels like. 3 weeks later, I am with my friend in San Francisco. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 13th time this morning. Dad's number. Again. I count to 10 before silencing it, adding his call to the growing cemetery of voicemails I refuse to resurrect. The first week, their messages held confusion. The second, concern. Now, in week 3, they've evolved into something darker: manipulation wrapped in parental authority. Iris Elizabeth Collins. Dad's latest voicemail thunders through the speaker when I finally check. "If you don't return this car immediately, I'll report it stolen. This childish behavior has gone on long enough." The Toyota. My Toyota. The one with my name on the title and 7 years of paid-off receipts. I crush the throw pillow against my stomach, swallowing the acid that rises in my throat. Mom's message follows. "The doctor says my blood pressure is dangerously high because of the stress you're causing. Is that what you want? For me to end up in the hospital because you're being selfish?" I delete them both without responding, though my finger hovers over the screen longer than I care to admit. My temporary sanctuary in Monica's spare bedroom feels both foreign and familiar. The walls are painted a soft terracotta that catches the morning light, warming the space in ways my Seattle apartment never did. On the dresser, my laptop displays an email I've rewritten 14 times. "Dear Mr. Sanderson." Dear Mr. Sanderson. I'm writing to formally request a transfer to the San Francisco office, effective immediately. My finger clicks send before I can reconsider. No family connections, no favors called in. Just my work record, my reputation, my worth as a structural engineer. 3 hours later, the approval arrives in my inbox, just like that, as if I've always been capable of creating my own path. "You got it?" Monica appears in the doorway, reading my expression. Her dark curls frame a face lined with genuine happiness for me. The concept still feels foreign, someone celebrating my accomplishments without making them about themselves. "I start Monday," I confirm. "Now I just need to find a place." "I start Monday." Monica grins. "Already called Andrea from book club. She manages apartments in Mission District. Rent control, safe building, 20-minute walk to your new office." "You didn't have to." "I wanted to." She cuts me off, dropping onto the bed beside me. "Friends help friends, no strings attached. Novel concept for you. I know." The words hit their mark. No strings, no obligations, no scorekeeping. The tears I've been holding back for 3 weeks threaten to break through. "I made you an appointment too," she adds, sliding a business card onto my laptop. "Dr. Levine, Tuesday at 4. The card reads, "Elaine Levine, PhD, Family Therapy." "I'm not crazy," I whisper. "No," Monica agrees. "But you've been carrying something heavy for a very long time. It might help to put it down somewhere safe." On Tuesday afternoon, the therapist's office smells like lemon furniture, polish, and old books. Dr. Levine wears reading glasses on a beaded chain and sensible shoes that make no sound on the carpet. She doesn't rush to fill silences, just waits while I struggle to form words that have never been spoken aloud. Favoritism? I finally say, the word hanging between us like a newly discovered planet. My entire life. "And how did that make you feel?" she asks. "Like I was worth exactly $2, I answer. Later that week, the apartment Andrea shows me is small, 650 square feet with a kitchenette barely wide enough for a refrigerator. But the windows face west, catching afternoon sunshine that spills across hardwood floors. It's mine by nightfall. I buy a futon, a lamp, and a small desk. Nothing more. The emptiness feels intentional rather than impoverished. Space to grow into. Monica drags me to a community center the following Saturday. Pottery class, she announces. You need something that isn't work or therapy. I protest until my hands sink into cool clay, feeling it yield and resist simultaneously. The instructor, a woman with silver hair and paint-spattered overalls, stands behind me. Don't force it, she murmurs. Listen to what it wants to become. My fingers tremble as they shape something from nothing. By class end, I've created a small, imperfect bowl with uneven edges. It's hideous and beautiful, and entirely mine. The first video call comes 4 weeks after Christmas. I answer on the third ring, steeling myself against the familiar surge of guilt their faces trigger. Where have you been? Dad demands immediately. His face fills the screen, red with indignation. Your mother has been worried sick. Behind him, Mom dabs at eyes that remain strategically dry. San Francisco, I answer calmly. I transferred offices. Without discussing it with us first? Mom interjects, pushing into frame. How could you be so inconsiderate? The old pull tugs at my chest, apologize, placate, make it right. But Dr. Levine's words echo. Your feelings are valid. Their reactions belong to them, not you. I needed space, I say instead. Space from what? Dad barks. From family? From responsibility? From growing up? From feeling invisible, I reply, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. From being valued less than Chelsea. From trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Mom's tears flow instantly, right on cue. How can you say such hurtful things? We've always loved you both the same. I'm not responsible for your feelings anymore, I tell her. The words feel like stones I've been carrying in my mouth for years, finally released. I'm responsible for mine. Dad slams his palm against the table. This conversation is over until you're ready to apologize. Then I guess we're done talking, I answer, and end the call. In days to come, the rumors reach me through LinkedIn messages and texts from former coworkers. According to family lore, I've had a mental breakdown. I'm living in squalor. I've joined a cult. Chelsea's Instagram shows her looking concerned in tastefully filtered photos, captioned with vague references to family heartbreak and praying for those struggling with mental health. My new coworkers know nothing of this narrative. They see only my work, the precision of my calculations, the innovation in my designs. When Chelsea shows up unannounced at the office reception 10 days later, Monica happens to be dropping off lunch. She's in a meeting. Monica informs her coolly, and she'll remain in meetings indefinitely for uninvited visitors. My therapy group meets Wednesday evenings in a church basement that smells of coffee and old hymnals. 8 strangers connected by similar wounds. Family doesn't get a pass just because they're family, says Raymond, a 60-year-old accountant who hasn't spoken to his brother in 20 years. Love without respect isn't love, it's possession. So, the words settle in my chest like truth. 6 months after Christmas, my apartment has transformed. Pottery lines the windowsills, each piece more refined than the last. A proper bed has replaced the futon. The promotion to senior project manager came with a raise that ended any lingering financial anxiety. On my bookshelf sits the plastic piggy bank. I've filled it with crisp $2 bills, one for each week of freedom. Not as punishment, but as a reminder. Sometimes the smallest betrayals reveal the largest truths. The first holiday season approaches with both dread and relief. No presents to buy that won't be appreciated. No performances to maintain. No diminishment to endure. Just me in a space I've created, becoming someone I'm finally learning to value. Worth far more than $2. A month later, the ivory envelope sits on my kitchen counter like a landmine. 3 days it's been there, untouched. Cousin Vanessa's wedding invitation. My name in swooping calligraphy, Iris Collins. No, +1. Just me. Expected to return to the fold unaccompanied. So, what are you thinking, Doctor? Winters asks, her office chair creaking as she leans forward. I trace the edge of the armrest, counting the brass tacks one by one. I'm going. Her eyebrows rise slightly. That's a change from last week. On my terms, I add quickly. I've booked a room at the Hilton 4 blocks from the venue. Dad called twice, insisting I stay at their rental house with everyone. And what did you say? Nothing. I smile, remembering the satisfaction of letting his voicemail fill with increasingly desperate messages. The boundary is the message. 7 months of therapy has taught me the vocabulary of self-protection. 7 months after Christmas drove away. 7 months of rebuilding myself, one therapy session, one pottery class, one peaceful evening alone at a time. During the session, my phone buzzed. Chelsea. The third text today. Can't wait to see you next weekend. We need sister time before the wedding madness. I slide the phone back into my purse without responding. Dr. Winters notices. Your sister again? Suddenly we're best friends. I laugh, but it comes out hollow. She never texted this much when we lived in the same city. What do you think she wants? A ride from the airport. Money. The old Iris who carried her emotional baggage along with her actual luggage. I run my fingers across the fabric swatch on my lap, midnight blue silk for the dress I've commissioned. 3 fittings to ensure it hangs perfectly from my shoulders, skims my curves without apology. The color of power, not reconciliation. They've enlisted flying monkeys, I tell Dr. Winters. Uncle Pete called last night about how families need to stick together. Aunt Judith emailed about forgiveness being divine. Even Vanessa's fiancé sent a Facebook message. They're coordinating. And how does that make you feel? Before therapy, I would have said fine. Always fine. Instead, I trace the physical truth of my emotions. The tightness in my throat, the cold sweat along my hairline, the slight tremor in my fingers. Terrified. I admit. But also, ready. Later that evening, I spread the seating chart Vanessa accidentally included in a group email across my kitchen table. There I am, placed between my parents, directly across from Chelsea. The family tableau was restored. I reach for my phone. Vanessa, it's Iris. I have a small request about the seating arrangements. Friday arrives with San Francisco fog that burns away as my plane takes off. The clouds part somewhere over Oregon, revealing the landscape of my childhood. My heartbeat quickens as we begin our descent into Portland. The rehearsal dinner location glows golden against the twilight sky. I stand on the sidewalk, touching the smooth stone pendant Monica gave me before I left. Strength isn't about not feeling fear, she'd said. It's about feeling it and walking forward anyway. I straighten my shoulders and pull open the heavy wooden door. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Heads turn. My mother's hand flies to her throat. My father's drink pauses halfway to his lips. I've changed. The Iris who fled at Christmas was a shadow. This woman in tailored black pants, emerald silk blouse, and heels that announce each step with authority, is solid, present. The diamond studs in my ears catch the light as I scan the room, nodding acknowledgments without rushing toward anyone. Chelsea approaches first, arms outstretched, but something is different. The designer watch is gone. The highlights in her hair have grown out. Her smile seems strained rather than entitled. You look amazing, she says, embracing me briefly. Thank you. I step back, maintaining the space between us. How's the BMW treating you? Her eyes dart away. I, had to trade it in. Got a Honda. More practical, you know? Beyond her shoulder, I spot my parents huddled with Aunt Martha. Mother dabs at her eyes with a cocktail napkin. Father's shoulders slump forward in a posture I've never seen before. Cousin Tara appears at my elbow, vodka tonic in hand. God, am I glad you're here, she whispers. You wouldn't believe the drama since Christmas. Oh? Your parents are selling the house. She leans closer. Medical bills, they say, but everyone knows they've been floating Chelsea for years. Reality finally caught up. Before I can respond, a waiter circulates with champagne. I take a glass, watching the bubbles rise and burst against the surface. Just like the family stories, what rises eventually pops. Uncle Simon approaches, clasping my free hand. You're looking well, Iris. That job in San Francisco must agree with you. Senior project manager now, I say, the words still tasting new on my tongue. His eyes widen. No kidding? That's wonderful. More relatives orbit toward me throughout the evening. Cousin Michael confesses he always noticed how differently I was treated. Aunt Martha hugs me too tightly, whispering, Your father lost his job 3 months ago. Your mother's on anxiety medication. I absorb each revelation with the strange detachment of someone watching waves break against a shore from which they've retreated to higher ground. My father corners me during cocktail hour, bourbon heavy on his breath. Family sticks together, Iris. His voice carries the familiar weight of authority, but something essential has crumbled beneath it, no matter what. Does it, Dad? I meet his gaze without flinching. Or do some family members stick together while others get pushed aside? His face reddens. We've always supported you. $2 in a piggy bank. The words come out softer than I expected, but they land with precision. That was your definition of support. He opens his mouth, closes it, then walks away. In the ladies' room, my mother appears beside me at the sink, eyes swimming with tears. We miss you so much, she says, reaching for my hand. I continue washing my hands, the soap slippery between my fingers. I miss who I thought you were too. Back in the main room, Chelsea pulls me onto the terrace. The evening air carries the scent of roses from the garden below. The BMW got repossessed, she blurts out. I'm drowning in debt. Design clients dried up. Dad can't help anymore. Her voice cracks. I don't know how to do this, Iris. I never learned how to stand on my own. The confession hangs between us. 7 months ago, I would have immediately offered solutions, money, and a place to stay. The old Iris would have added this burden to her collection. Instead, I place my hand gently on her arm. That sounds really hard, Chelsea. I feel compassion without responsibility, a distinction that took months of therapy to learn. I'm sorry you're going through that. Her eyes widened slightly at my response, compassion without rescue. I can help you make a budget, I offer. But I can't fix this for you. Over her shoulder, I see Vanessa in her pre-wedding glow, surrounded by bridesmaids. Tomorrow will bring its own challenges. But tonight, standing on this terrace with the weight of family expectations sliding off my shoulders like water, I realize I'm no longer afraid. I am the woman who walked away from a lifetime of diminishment, who built a life from the foundation up. Whatever comes next, I'll face it standing firmly on the ground of my own making. The next day, I stand in the bridal suite of the Magnolia Gardens, watching as my cousin Vanessa transforms from nervous bride to radiant woman. The morning sun pours through tall windows, casting everything in a gentle golden light that feels at odds with the storm brewing in my chest. Iris, your parents are looking for you. Aunt Martha whispers, her fingers gentle on my forearm. They're in the library, said it's important. I knew this moment was coming. 7 months since I walked out of their Portland home, leaving nothing but a note and a lifetime of resentment behind. Thanks, Martha. My voice sounds calmer than I feel. I'll find them after I help Vanessa with her veil. Martha's eyes soften. They mentioned something about a family emergency before the ceremony. Of course they did. The library door feels heavier than physics should allow as I push it open 30 minutes later. Mom sits ramrod straight in a high-backed chair, tissues already clutched in her hand. Dad paces by the fireplace, his movements sharp and contained. Chelsea stands by the window, wearing a dress that costs more than my first month's rent in San Francisco, though the repossessed BMW is nowhere to be seen. Iris, thank God. Mom rises, arms outstretched. We need to talk as a family. I remain in the doorway. The ceremony starts in 40 minutes. Sit down, Iris. Dad gestures to the empty chair positioned to face all three of them. A staged intervention. This can't wait any longer. I close the door behind me but don't move toward the chair. I'm listening. Chelsea steps forward. Iris, this has gone far enough. Dad lost his job 3 months ago. The company downsized. Dad interjects quickly. Budget cuts. Mom's been seeing a therapist for depression, Chelsea continues. This all started when you left at Christmas. Mom dabs at dry eyes. We're selling the house. The perfect trifecta. Financial crisis, health concerns, and guilt wrapped in one neat package. 7 months ago, I would have crumpled under the weight of their expectations, apologized for something that wasn't my fault, and offered to help. Today, I walk to the indicated chair, set my purse beside it, and sit with my spine straight. I'm sorry to hear about your job, Dad. And Mom, I'm glad you're getting help. Their faces register confusion at my calm response. Didn't you hear what we said? Chelsea's voice rises. They're selling the house because of you. No, they're selling the house because of choices they made long before I left. I remove a leather-bound photo album from my purse. I brought something to show you. Mom frowns. We don't have time for it. You called this meeting. I open the album across my lap. So we have time. The first page shows 2 birthday parties side by side. Chelsea's elaborate princess theme, with hired entertainers, and my party the same year with a grocery store cake at the kitchen table. Remember these? I flip through pages of Christmas mornings, graduations, and family vacations where the pattern of favoritism is unmistakable. I spent months compiling evidence of what I always felt but couldn't prove. Dad's face flushes. This is ridiculous. We always treated you girls equally. I pull out a folder of bank statements. My student loans, $67,000 that I'm still paying. Chelsea's education, fully funded, including her year in Europe for art inspiration. Chelsea shifts uncomfortably. That's not fair. You chose engineering. That was your decision. It was my passion, I corrected her. Just like art was yours. The difference is, my passion wasn't considered worth investing in. Mom rises, hands trembling. We didn't have the money when you went to college. Things were different by the time Chelsea. I learned everything about your financial records years ago, Mom. I cut her off. Dad's promotion came when I was 16. The inheritance from Grandma arrived before my freshman year. You had the money. You chose not to spend it on me. The room grows uncomfortably quiet as I lay out birthday cards spanning 30 years. The messages to Chelsea overflow with effusive love. Mine contain practical advice and reminders to work hard. We always knew you'd be fine. Dad finally says, his defensiveness cracking. You were always so capable. There it is. The truth behind decades of disparity. Being capable doesn't mean I deserved less love. My voice remains steady even as heat builds behind my eyes. Being responsible didn't mean I should carry everyone else's burdens. Mom collapses into genuine, not manipulative tears. We never meant to hurt you. Intent doesn't erase impact. I reach into my purse one final time. The plastic piggy bank makes a hollow sound as I place it on the coffee table between us. Dad stares at it. What is this nonsense? I remove the rubber stopper. Dozens of crisp $2 bills spill out, unusual currency that catches the eye. I've saved a $2 bill for every week since Christmas. I explain. This isn't about money. It's about what you thought I was worth. Chelsea picks up one of the bills, turning it over in her manicured fingers. I never realized how it looked from your side. Her voice lacks its usual defensive edge. They never taught me to stand on my own. Outside the library, relatives pass by, their voices floating through the heavy door. In minutes, they'll gather to celebrate love and commitment, while our family confronts decades of its absence. I don't want apologies. I say, standing. I want change. I'll consider reconciliation under 2 conditions: family therapy and respect for my boundaries. Dad opens his mouth to argue, but Mom places her hand on his arm. We'll do it, she says, surprising us all. Whatever it takes. I gather my evidence and the piggy bank but leave its contents on the table. That's yours to keep. A reminder of what happens when you value one child over another. Walking toward the door, I pause with my hand on the knob. I need to take my seat for the ceremony. My friend Monica is saving me a place. As I step into the hallway, my back straight and heart lighter than it's been in months, I hear Chelsea whisper to our parents, "She's different now." She's right. The woman who left that Christmas morning carrying nothing but grief and resolution is gone. In her place stands someone who finally understands her own worth isn't measured by what others think she deserves, but by what she refuses to accept. On Christmas, the sunshine spills across the hardwood floors of my San Francisco apartment as friends gather around a table that actually belongs to me. The scent of rosemary and sage from the roasting turkey mingles with laughter, real laughter, not the strained kind that used to echo through my parents' house. To Iris, Monica raises her glass, her dark curls catching the light from the window. Who builds bridges better than anyone I know, both at work and in life? My cheeks warm at the toast. 1 year ago today, I placed a house key on a counter and drove away from everything familiar. Now I stand in an apartment filled with people who choose to be here, surrounded by pottery pieces I created with my own hands. And to Senior Project Manager Collins, adds Elliot, his fingers brushing mine under the table. His touch still sends electricity through me, not the lightning strike of infatuation, but the steady current of something building toward permanence. Whose team finished the Richardson Tower project 2 weeks ahead of schedule? Elliot understands deadlines and structural integrity, an environmental engineer who values sustainability in buildings and relationships alike. When he first asked me to coffee 6 months ago, I almost declined. Old habits of self-sacrifice die hard. My therapist, Dr. Winters, called it progress when I said yes. The kitchen timer chimes, saving me from having to acknowledge their praise. Some changes take longer than others. Need help? Asks Elliot, following me into the kitchen. I've got it. The words slip out automatically. Then I catch myself, remembering Dr. Winter's gentle challenge. Accepting help doesn't diminish your strength. Actually, could you carve the turkey? I never learned how. My phone vibrates with a video call from Chelsea. Monthly calls a boundary we established after the wedding confrontation. I answer while Elliot handles the carving. "Merry Christmas," Chelsea says, her face filling the screen. Her apartment visible behind her looks smaller than mine. No designer furniture, no luxury car parked outside. Working 2 jobs has given her a new perspective on money, along with the shadows under her eyes. "You look happy," she says, voice softer than it used to be. "Your place looks beautiful." It feels like home. I angle the camera to show my pottery studio in the spare bedroom, once formless clay now shaped into bowls and vases that line the shelves. "How are Mom and Dad?" "Dad's 90 days sober today. He wanted me to tell you." She adjusts the camera to reveal our father sitting in a modest apartment living room, looking smaller somehow. "The AA meetings are helping. He's different when he's not drinking." I nod, not ready to fully process that revelation. "And Mom?" "Still volunteering at the community center. She wanted to come to the call but had an emergency food drive." Chelsea pauses. "They ask about you. Not in the old way, though." We talked for a few more minutes before saying goodbye. The wall clock shows it's time for dinner. Around my table, conversation flows between Monica, Elliot, and friends from my engineering firm and pottery class. No one mentions the piggy bank displayed on my mantle, now filled with dollar bills representing lessons rather than resentment. After dessert, Chelsea texts a photo of a handmade clay ornament, clearly her first attempt at pottery. "Not pretty, but made with love. Mailing it tomorrow." Then another message arrives from my mother. "Found this in the attic while downsizing. It always belonged to you." The attachment shows my childhood dollhouse, the one thing I truly loved growing up. The deed transfer paperwork sits below it, officially making it mine. Later, when everyone has gone and Elliot helps with the last dishes, I step onto my balcony. San Francisco Bay stretches before me, lights from the bridges reflecting on dark water. Buildings I helped design stand in silhouette against the night sky. "Worth isn't something you earn through usefulness," I whisper to the city lights. "It's something you claim by knowing what you will and won't accept." Elliot joins me, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders against the December chill. "Deep thoughts?" "Just grateful," I answered, leaning into his warmth. "Sometimes the greatest gift is realizing what you won't accept anymore." The piggy bank sits visible through the window, no longer a symbol of what I lacked, but what I found the courage to value myself first. I stand frozen in the hallway, one hand pressed against the wall for support, the other clutching my wedding magazine so tightly the pages crinkle. The dining room door is cracked open just enough for their voices to slip through. I wasn't supposed to be home for another hour. My marketing meeting ended early, and I thought I'd surprise them. Instead, they surprise me. "She'll pay for everything, just like she did for my wedding." Violet's distinctive laugh too loud. 2 sharp cuts through the air. That's what little sisters are for. My parents chuckle in agreement, the sound of their betrayal making my stomach clench. "We've already told everyone about the combined celebration," Mom says, the pride evident in her voice. Dad clears his throat. "Your anniversary deserves as much attention as her wedding. 5 years is a milestone." My wedding magazine slips from my fingers, landing silently on the carpeted floor. I don't move to pick it up. I can't move at all. The blood rushes to my face as my breathing turns shallow. White-knuckled, I grip my handbag to keep my hand from trembling. 5 years of therapy, teaching me to recognize my worth, evaporates in an instant. I'm 10 years old again, watching Violet open my birthday presents while everyone applauds her for being such a good sharer. I back away from the door, careful not to make a sound. My legs carry me outside to my car, where I sink into the driver's seat and stare at nothing. The keys dangle from my fingers, but I don't put them in the ignition. Not yet. First, I need to call Robert. My finger hovers over his name in my contacts. 3 deep breaths later, I press call. "Hey, beautiful," he answers on the second ring. "How was the meeting?" "They're trying to do it again, Rob." My voice comes out steadier than I expect. But this time, I won't let them. 5 years ago, Violet announced her engagement to Thomas. 2 weeks later, Dad called me into his study, explaining that Thomas had lost his job and they needed help with wedding expenses. "Just temporary," he promised. "Family comes first, Naomi," he said, his hand heavy on my shoulder. "Your sister needs this." Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed. If you really loved your sister. I handed over my entire savings account. $15,000. My education fund. My future. It's just a semester, Mom said when I had to drop out of college. You can always go back. 3 semesters later, I was still working 2 jobs, watching my dreams collect dust while Violet danced at her reception in a dress that cost more than my car. That night, I made myself a promise while Sisters by Rosemary Clooney played over the speakers. Never again. 2 weeks later, Mom invites us for dinner. Just a casual family gathering, she says, but I know better. Her voice has that rehearsed quality it gets when she's planning something. The table is set with the good china, never a good sign. Violet and Thomas arrive 15 minutes late, as usual. Before we eat, Mom announces once we're all seated. We have the most brilliant idea. I feel Robert's hand find mine under the table, as Mom launches into a speech about beautiful symbolism and shared celebrations. We thought, she continues, beaming, that we could combine Naomi's wedding with Violet and Thomas's 5th anniversary celebration. Violet pulls out a folder color-coded and tabbed and places it on the table. I've already made a list. Separate cake, of course. Special dance. And I think the colors should match my original wedding. For continuity. Robert's fingers tighten around mine as I feel all eyes turn to me. They're waiting for my usual immediate agreement. My automatic yes that's been conditioned into me since childhood. Let me think about it, I say instead. The silence that follows is deafening. Mom's smile freezes. Dad blinks rapidly. Violet's mouth opens slightly, then closes. Think about it? Dad recovers first, patting my shoulder dismissively. Always practical. That's why we know you'll handle the finances. Violet's eyes fill with practiced tears. I thought you'd be excited. Mom gives me a look, the one that says keep the peace before passing the potatoes. Naomi will come around. She always does. I smile and nod. The perfect daughter. Robert squeezes my hand under the table, a silent show of support. I'm sure it will be beautiful, I say, the words tasting like ash. But in my mind, a plan is already forming. A single thought burning bright enough to warm the ice forming around my heart. Never again. Have you ever smiled and nodded while silently planning your escape? Share your thoughts in the comments below. That night, I said I would sleep over to take some things left and to check what other plans my family is hiding from me. The family computer screen glows in the dim light of Dad's study as I scroll through Mom's email. I shouldn't be here, shouldn't be doing this. But Robert's words echo in my head. Trust your instincts, Naomi. Something doesn't add up. My breath catches when I see it. An email chain between Mom and Violet with the subject line vendor payments, Naomi. I click, heart hammering against my ribs. Don't worry about the deposits, Mom wrote. James and I have assured everyone that Naomi will cover all expenses once contracts are finalized. My fingers tremble on the mouse. I click through more emails, each one another nail in the coffin of my trust. Screenshots of venue options, catering menus, DJ packages. All with notes about how the bride will be handling payment. A notification pings on Mom's tablet still logged into her Amazon account. I tap it without thinking and freeze. There, in high-definition color, is a wedding dress. Not my dress, a second dress, ordered 3 days ago. The confirmation email shows my credit card number. I need your bathroom. I text Robert, our code for urgent calls. He answers immediately. What happened? They've been planning this for months. My voice sounds hollow even to myself. Violet used my credit card to buy another wedding dress, one that matches her vision. 4. That's credit card fraud, Robert says, his usually calm voice tight with anger. There's more. I switch to speaker and open the banking app on my phone. Remember those deposits I couldn't account for last month? They weren't deposits. They were withdrawals labeled as deposits, for wedding expenses. My parents got a call last week, Robert says after a pause. Someone claiming to be your wedding coordinator said you wanted a simple ceremony and didn't need their contribution. The pieces click together with sickening clarity. I minimize the email and notice an Excel file on the desktop labeled W+A Budget Final. I shouldn't open it, but I do anyway. The spreadsheet appears, meticulously organized with color-coded tabs. I click through them, my stomach dropping further with each page. Venue, $22,000. Catering, $15,000. Entertainment, $8,000. Flowers, $7,000. Photography, $6,000. Dresses, plural, $5,000. At the bottom, a final sum, $63,000. With a note in Violet's distinctive purple font, Naomi's responsibility. I lean back in Dad's chair, suddenly dizzy. The family photo on his desk, Mom, Dad, Violet, and me at her wedding, seems to mock me now. I was smiling in that picture, having just signed away my education fund. While searching for more evidence, I find Mom's journal tucked in the desk drawer. I've never invaded her privacy like this before, but I'm past caring. I flip to recent entries. Naomi's always been the responsible one. She wrote just last week. She'll understand this is for family. So, the same day Dad claimed financial hardship, a receipt from Pine Hills Golf Club shows his $5,000 membership renewal. I take screenshots and forward all messages to my chat. Tomorrow I will start dealing with them thoroughly. My phone buzzes in the morning while I am at office. A text from Jessica, my oldest friend who works at an event planning company. Call me as soon as possible. Violet just contacted us claiming to be handling arrangements for your wedding. I forward her the spreadsheet before calling. Her outrage validates what I already know: this isn't normal family behavior. They're gaslighting you, she says bluntly. This is financial abuse. Later that evening, Robert's sister Emily visits our apartment. Unlike me, she successfully escaped her own controlling family years ago. The problem isn't just Violet, Emily explains as we sit at our kitchen table. Your mother enables everything. Notice the pattern: Violet creates the crisis. Your mother offers the solution that requires your sacrifice. Mrs. Sullivan, my elderly neighbor who sometimes joins us for coffee, nods in agreement. She came 10 minutes after Emily. I've watched this dynamic for years, dear. Your sister takes, your mother facilitates, your father enforces, and you accommodate, she says. Not anymore, I say, but my voice wavers. The threats begin the next day. Violet calls about a networking event at her company. Remember how I helped you get that marketing position? Her voice drips with sweetness. Family connections are so important. Speaking of which, have you chosen a venue yet? Dad mentions the house down payment they might help with if the wedding goes smoothly. Mom casually references Grandma's heart attack while discussing wedding stress. You know, cardiac issues run in our family. She sighs. I've already told the aunts about our combined celebration. They're thrilled. That night, I make my first strategic move. I'll need to be the one to sign the venue contract. I tell them over dinner, my voice steadier than I feel. Their exchange of glances speaks volumes. At my apartment, I cancel the fraudulent dress order and change all my financial passwords. The victory feels hollow when Violet calls immediately. You're being ridiculous, she snaps. You've gained weight anyway. That dress would have looked better on me. I endure the barbs, the manipulative texts, the constant pressure, the price of playing along while I formulate my plan. Later, alone in our bathroom, I finally break. Tears stream down my face as I grip the sink, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Robert knocks gently but knows better than to enter. I stare at my reflection, at the woman who's been molded into the perfect sacrificial lamb. I splash cold water on my face, dry my eyes, and straighten my shoulders. This is war, but I'll fight it my way with strategy, not emotion, with boundaries, not bridges. In the mirror, I see someone new, emerging, someone with steel in her spine and fire in her eyes. What's the most difficult boundary you've had to set with someone you love? Was it worth it? The next morning, my phone buzzes at 7:43 a.m. I don't recognize the number, but the text contains a photo that makes my stomach lurch. Congratulations on your big announcement. Reads the message from someone named Tara. I can't wait to celebrate both events next month. I tap the image and freeze. It's a screenshot of my mother's Facebook post from last night. Thrilled to announce we're celebrating 2 beautiful milestones in one special day. Naomi's wedding and Violet's 5th anniversary. Details coming soon. 47 comments. 93 likes. Robert rolls over, his eyes still heavy with sleep. Everything okay? I wordlessly hand him my phone. He sits up immediately, fully awake. They didn't even ask us, I whisper. Call your mom, Robert says, his jaw tightening. Now. Mom answers on the first ring, her voice suspiciously cheerful. Good morning, sweetheart. Did you see? Take it down. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. What? The post, Mom. Take it down. We never agreed to this. She laughs like I've told a particularly amusing joke. Oh, Naomi, everyone's so excited. Your father's golfing buddies are already planning to attend. It's too late to change anything now. The familiar weight of obligation settles on my chest. Too late. Always too late to stand up for myself. We'll talk about this later, I manage before hanging up. 3 days later, I'm at Elegance Bridal with Jessica, trying on the simple A-line dress I chose weeks ago. I twist in front of the mirror, admiring how the ivory fabric catches the light. It's perfect, Jessica says, snapping a photo. Classic but not boring, totally you. The bell above the door jingles. I catch the reflection of Violet sweeping into the boutique, designer sunglasses perched on her head, Mom trailing behind her. Surprise! Mom calls out, clapping her hands. We thought we'd join you. Jessica shoots me a look that says, stick to the plan. I nod almost imperceptibly. How unexpected, I say, turning to face them. Violet circles me like a predator, her manicured finger tapping against her chin. It's a bit plain, isn't it? Nothing like my Vera Wang. She reaches for a glass of complimentary champagne from a nearby table. But I suppose it suits you. Go. The boutique owner smiles tightly. Would you like to see some veils to complete the look? Before I can answer, Violet's arm jerks, sending a wave of red liquid across the front of my dress. The champagne glass hits the floor with a crash. Oh no! Violet gasps, hand flying to her mouth in mock horror. I'm so clumsy. Thank goodness you haven't purchased it yet. My fingers curl into fists at my sides as I watch the red stain bloom across the ivory fabric. The boutique owner rushes for club soda, but we all know the dress is ruined. Mom pats my arm. Don't worry, dear. This was clearly meant to be. We'll find something that complements Violet's anniversary dress. 2 hours later, I meet Robert at his office for lunch, my hands still shaking. They destroyed my dress, Rob. On purpose. Robert's eyes darken. That's it. No more playing nice. Dad called this morning while I was at work, I say. They've scheduled a walkthrough at Rosewood Manor for tomorrow. They expect us to sign the contract right away. Robert takes my hand across the table. Then we go to Plan B. The next afternoon, we stand in Rosewood Manor's grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers hang from 30-foot ceilings. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook manicured gardens. It's breathtaking and exactly the kind of extravagant venue I never wanted. Perfect for your sister's grand entrance, Dad says, clapping the venue manager on the shoulder. And plenty of room for all 200 guests. 200? I echo. We agreed on 50. Mom waves dismissively. We couldn't possibly cut the list now. Everyone's already been notified. The venue manager, Mr. Phillips, produces a thick contract. If we could just get signatures and the deposit today, we'll be all set for next month's celebration. Dad pulls out his pen with a flourish. I'll sign first, then Naomi can. Actually, I interrupt, surprising everyone, including myself. My fiancé and I agreed that both our signatures are required on any contract. That's non-negotiable. So, the silence that follows feels electric. What are you talking about? Mom asks, her smile strained. Robert doesn't need to be bothered with these details. It's our wedding, I say quietly. We make decisions together. Violet snorts. Since when do you make decisions at all? I reach into my bag and pull out a folder. Since I discovered these, I place printouts of unauthorized credit card charges on the table. Charges for items I never approved, made with my stored card information. Mom pales. Dad stares at the papers, then at Violet. You told me she agreed to those expenses, he says slowly. Violet's face hardens. She always pays. That's what she does. Something inside me breaks open. Years of silence and accommodation rush out like floodwater. You ruined my college years, I say, my voice surprisingly calm. You're not ruining my wedding day. Mr. Phillips clears his throat uncomfortably. Perhaps I should give you a moment. No need, I say, reaching for the contract. I'd like to review the terms. Dad tries to intercept. Naomi, be reasonable. I've learned that true family respects boundaries. I meet his gaze steadily. Sign if you want to. I'll cover $6,000 for the deposit. The remaining $57,000 is your responsibility. Violet's face contorts. You can't do this, we've told everyone. You've always been the reliable one, the responsible one. I still am, I say. I'm just being responsible to myself for once. Dad looks from me to the contract, then back again. Something shifts in his expression: surprise, perhaps even a flicker of respect. He signs his name with less flourish than before. That evening, Jessica calls with news. I found the perfect spot for the real ceremony. Small chapel by the lake, available the weekend before. And Robert's parents offered their lake house for the reception, I tell her, feeling a surprising lightness in my chest. How much was the deposit again? Jessica asks. $6,000. That's a lot of money to walk away from. I think about years of giving in, of putting everyone else first. It's my freedom fee, I say, worth every penny. Later, Robert and I sit cross-legged on our apartment floor, surrounded by plans for our real wedding, the one only our closest friends will attend. I'm proud of you, Robert says, pressing a kiss to my forehead. I pick up a pair of scissors from the coffee table and hold them up to a strand of my hair, the long, straight style my mother always insisted was most flattering. What do you think? I ask. Time for a change? Robert grins. Absolutely. The scissors make a satisfying snip. Dark strands fall to the floor around me. With each cut, I feel lighter. For the first time, I say, watching my reflection change in the window, I'm not just their daughter or Violet's sister. I'm choosing to be me. After my impromptu haircut, I try on the simple white sundress we ordered online. No train, no beading, no cathedral veil. Just clean lines and comfortable fabric. This feels like me, I whisper. Not their version of me. Later, Jessica arrives with a detailed timeline tucked under her arm. Decoy wedding at Rosewood, real wedding at the chapel. I've mapped it down to 15-minute increments. Emily, Robert's sister, brings a legal folder. My friend at the firm confirmed it. Since your parents signed the venue contract, they're legally responsible for the bill, not you. We work into the night creating our escape plan. Every guest, every detail, every contingency accounted for. I can't believe we're really doing this, I say, feeling the first genuine laugh bubble up inside me in months. Mrs. Sullivan stops by with homemade cookies, her eyes crinkling with wisdom. Sometimes the kindest thing is walking away, she says, squeezing my hand. I wish I'd had your courage 50 years ago. The night before the wedding, Violet appears at my apartment unannounced. Her eyes narrow at my newly short hair. The venue called, she says without preamble. They need final payment confirmation. I smile calmly. Everything's been taken care of. Tomorrow will be unforgettable. Something in my tone makes her pause. She studies my face, searching for the familiar signs of capitulation. Finding none, she leaves with a huff. After she's gone, I pull out a small overnight bag from under the bed and carefully pack the essentials: white sundress, new flats, marriage license. Robert watches from the doorway. Ready? He asks. I zip the bag with finality. More than I've ever been. Have you ever had to create an escape plan from a toxic situation? What gave you the strength to follow through? The next morning, a makeup artist dabs powder across my forehead as I check the time. 9:17 a.m. Perfect. I snap a selfie in the bridal robe Jessica borrowed from her cousin's salon, making sure the generic background reveals nothing about our actual location. Sending the first bait? I tell Robert, who's lounging on the lake house sofa in jeans and a t-shirt, coffee mug in hand. No tuxedo yet. We have hours before our real ceremony. I attach the photo to a group text. Getting started. Running a bit behind but so excited. Then I add 3 bride emojis and a champagne glass. Exactly the kind of overenthusiastic text they'd expect. Mom responds instantly. Everyone's arriving at the venue. Your father is greeting the Hendersons now. They're all there, I tell Robert, the weight of 5 years lifting from my shoulders. 200 guests, and a $63,000 bill. Robert raises his coffee mug. To freedom. My phone buzzes with Violet's text. Remember, I need you here by 11:30 for our sister photos before your ceremony. Wear the pearl earrings I picked. I silence notifications and join my actual friends on the deck, overlooking the tranquil lake. Jessica pours mimosas while Sam and Keith string white lights around the birch trees. Robert's parents arrive with wildflowers from their garden and warm hugs that ask for nothing in return. How are you feeling? Robert's mother asks, squeezing my hand, like I can finally breathe. At 10:45, I send another staged photo. Hair done, Makeup next. Running about 30 minutes behind schedule. The responses flood in immediately. Mom, people are asking when you'll arrive. What should I tell them? Dad, the minister has another commitment at 3. You need to hurry. Violet, this is so inconsiderate, Naomi. My anniversary celebration is at risk. I switch my phone to Do Not Disturb and slip into my simple lace dress, the one I bought myself, not the beaded monstrosity Violet selected, to complement her anniversary gown. Ready for our real ceremony? Robert asks, handsome in his navy suit. More than you know. Em said. At noon, Jessica returns from her reconnaissance mission at the country club, laughing so hard she can barely speak. You should see them, she gasps. Your mom keeps announcing minor delays. Your dad is sweating through his suit. And Violet, oh my God, Violet is telling everyone it's actually your fault because you insisted on using her hairstylist instead of hiring 2. How many guests left? Robert asks. None yet. They're too fascinated by the train wreck. It's like watching a slow-motion car crash in formal wear. At 12:30 I send one final text. Having a minor zipper emergency. Start without me. Be there in 20 minutes. Then I turn my phone completely off and take Robert's hands beneath the lakeside arbor. 20 cherished friends surround us as Robert's father begins our ceremony. No one checks their watch or texts during our vows. No one demands to be the center of attention. Across town, according to our plan, the venue manager is presenting my parents with a preliminary bill. The contract they signed, the one they pushed so hard to finalize, makes them solely responsible for payment. The $6,000 deposit I contributed was carefully documented as my only financial obligation. By now, Violet has likely realized that her anniversary celebration has become a $63,000 disaster. The carefully selected champagne tower stands untouched. The 5-tier cake with her anniversary topper on the premium tier remains uncut. The guests whisper behind programs, witnessing the family facade crumble. I now pronounce you husband and wife, Robert's father announces, beaming with genuine joy. As Robert kisses me, cheers erupt from people who actually care about our happiness. Later, during our intimate reception dinner, Jessica's phone lights up with a voice message. She puts it on speaker. Jessica? This is Eleanor Thompson. Mom's voice sounds strained, her usual composure shattered. If you know where Naomi is, please tell her this isn't funny anymore. The venue needs the remaining payment tonight. Her father. Her voice breaks. James had to give them his retirement account information. Please have her call us immediately. In the background, we hear Violet shrieking at someone, likely her husband. What do you mean, what did I do? This was Mom and Dad's plan too. Jessica turns off the phone, and Robert raises his glass. To my beautiful wife, who taught her family the most valuable lesson they'll ever learn. I clink my glass against his. Freedom was worth every penny of that $6,000 deposit. What do you think is worse? I ask our friends. Losing $63,000 or losing your dignity? As laughter surrounds us, I already know my answer. The doorbell rings precisely at 10, the morning after our wedding. Robert squeezes my hand as we exchange knowing glances. Right on schedule. Ready? He asks. I nod, straightening the fresh wedding photos we arranged on our coffee table last night. I've been ready for years. When I open the door, Mom stands front and center, eyes red-rimmed and puffy. Dad looms behind her, jaw clenched so tight I can almost hear his teeth grinding. Violet hovers at his shoulder, her face twisted into an expression that can't decide between rage and triumph. How could you do this to us? Mom's voice breaks, tears already streaming down her face. After everything we've done for you? I step aside, gesturing them in without a word. They file past, Mom's familiar perfume, the one she only wears to funerals and confrontations trailing behind her. Dad doesn't bother sitting. You're legally responsible for this bill, Naomi. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but it ends now. Tell everyone what kind of person you really are, Violet hisses, jabbing a finger toward me. I already started. Cousin Emma knows you abandoned your own wedding over some childish grudge. I don't flinch. Instead, I walk to our dining table where a leather portfolio sits waiting. Robert stands beside me, his presence a fortress at my back. I expected this visit, I say, my voice steadier than it's ever been when addressing them. I've been preparing for it for a while. One by one, I remove the contents of the portfolio and arrange them on the table. The movement feels ceremonial, like laying out the pieces of a sacred ritual. In many ways, it is. "What's all this?" Dad asks, impatience edging his voice. I press play on my phone. Violet's voice fills the room. "She'll pay for everything, just like she did for my wedding. That's what little sisters are for." Followed by my parents' unmistakable laughter. Their faces pale in perfect unison. Recording conversations is, Dad starts. Perfectly legal in this state with one-party consent. Robert finishes for him. His law degree finally proving useful against my family. I slide bank statements across the table. Here's proof of the $6,000 deposit I agreed to pay, the only payment I ever committed to. Mom reaches for the papers with trembling hands. But the venue manager said, "I have the email trail right here." I continue, laying out printed correspondence, where I specifically clarified my limited financial involvement. Note the venue manager's response confirming that the contract holders, you and Dad, are responsible for the balance. Violet snatches one of the papers. "This doesn't prove anything." "Maybe this will." I pull out screenshots of unauthorized credit card charges, each with forensic timestamps. "My credit card, Violet, for your second wedding dress. The one you ordered after spilling wine on mine." "You always were so dramatic about money," she scoffs, but her voice wavers. Dad's face has taken on an ashen quality. "Naomi, be reasonable. We can't possibly cover $57,000. I extract the final document, a lawyer's letter outlining their liability. "The contract is in your names. The venue has your signatures. The remaining $57,000 is your responsibility." Mom collapses onto our couch, mascara creating charcoal rivers down her cheeks. "Why would you do this to your own family?" "I lost $15,000 for Violet's wedding," I say, the words no longer sticking in my throat. "I willingly paid $6,000 this time to be free of your manipulation forever." "This is revenge," Dad spits, desperation replacing his earlier confidence. "No," I correct him. "This is the natural consequence of your actions." Violet's husband Thomas, who had been silent by the door, steps forward. "So you did the same thing to your sister 5 years ago?" His question lands like a stone in still water, creating ripples of uncomfortable silence. "That was different," Violet stammers, looking to our parents for support, but something has cracked between them. Mom stares blankly at the coffee table, Dad glares at Violet, and Violet glowers at both of them. "Your retirement fund," Mom whispers to Dad. "We'll have to use your retirement fund." "My retirement fund?" His voice rises. "This was your idea in the first place." I walk calmly to the door and open it. "You can leave now. My new family is coming over to celebrate." They gather their things in defeated silence. As they shuffle toward the exit, I can't resist one final truth. "Consider the $63,000 your investment in my freedom." Violet pauses at the threshold, turning back with an expression I've never seen before, something like respect, tangled with resentment and perhaps a flicker of recognition. The door closes with a soft click that echoes with finality. Robert wraps his arms around me as I lean against him, suddenly exhausted and exhilarated all at once. "Are you okay?" he asks into my hair. Before I can answer, my phone chimes with a text. Jessica and the others are on their way over, bringing champagne and takeout from our favorite restaurant. "I'm more than okay," I say, looking at our wedding photos, the real ones, taken at the lake house with people who truly love us. For the first time in my life, I'm free. Was I justified in my actions, or should I have confronted my family directly instead? What would you have done? A year later, the scent of roasting turkey fills our new home as I arrange a centerpiece of crimson and gold chrysanthemums on our dining table. Through the window, November sunlight spills across the hardwood floors we installed ourselves last month. Robert catches my eye from the kitchen doorway and raises his wine glass in a silent toast. 1 year exactly, he says, his smile reaching his eyes. I nod, my chest warm with contentment, rather than the familiar tightness of anxiety. 1 year since we chose ourselves. 1 year since we walked away from the elaborate charade my family had planned and married by the lake instead, surrounded only by people who truly loved us. The wedding photo on our mantel captures that perfect moment, Robert and I laughing as the weather's beautiful colors danced around us, neither of us looking at the camera. Real joy doesn't pose. The doorbell chimes, interrupting my thoughts. Through the peephole, I see Violet standing alone on our porch, her shoulders hunched against the cold in a way I've never seen before. No, Thomas. No dramatic entrance. Just my sister, looking smaller somehow. When I open the door, I stand tall in my own doorway. Unlike that day I overheard them plotting in the dining room, I feel no trembling in my hands, no weakness in my knees. I came to apologize, Violet says, her voice lacking its usual sharp edge. Really apologize. I study her face, searching for the familiar manipulation. Instead, I find something new: humility. Dad and Mom had to use their retirement savings to pay the venue. She continues, when I remain silent. It was a reality check for all of us. I gesture toward the living room. Come in. The others will be here soon. She hesitates. Thomas threatened divorce unless I started therapy. He said he couldn't be married to someone who treats family like stepping stones. For a moment, I see the little girl who once held my hand on the first day of kindergarten, before she learned to see me as competition rather than as a sister. How's that going? I ask, genuinely curious. Hard, she admits, but necessary. The front door opens behind us as Jessica arrives carrying a homemade pie, followed by Emily and Robert's parents. The warmth of their greetings fills the entryway. Later, gathered around our table, Robert raises his glass. To chosen family and second chances. The conversation flows easily, untainted by the tension that characterized family gatherings of the past. When Emily's college-aged cousin mentions pressure from her parents to change majors, I share what took me years to learn. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to be someone's victim. I tell her. Boundaries aren't walls, they're the foundation of healthy relationships. The words feel natural now, not rehearsed. Last month, I began volunteering at the community center, mentoring young women struggling with family expectations. The scholarship fund we created from money saved on our wedding helped 2 of them start college this fall. As evening approaches, most guests depart with warm hugs and promises to return soon. Only Violet remains, helping clear dishes with careful movements. You're welcome here as my sister, I tell her quietly by the sink, not as the person who tried to ruin my wedding. She nods, accepting the boundary without argument. Mom started to see it too, how she enabled everything. She asked if she could call you sometime. Later, after Violet leaves, Robert presents a small package wrapped in silver paper. Happy anniversary, he whispers. Inside is a shadow box containing our framed $6,000 venue deposit receipt, mounted against burgundy velvet. The inscription reads, "Best investment we ever made in our freedom and future." I trace the glass with my fingertip, smiling at the simple truth of it. Some lessons are expensive, but worth every penny.